Back to today's video. Today is Saturday, August 26th, 2023, and today we are going to be talking about who won the first Republican presidential debate and instant polling that came out just 2 days ago surrounding the presidential debate, seeing who the voters thought had differences in terms of changes in approval, changes in support, and overall expectations versus performances in this first debate. Now, it's a very interesting rapid snapshot of the immediate aftermath following the poll. Of course, these are amongst debate watchers. There were roughly 13 million viewers, which doesn't capture in the total sentiment of the Republican Party, but it is important to note that those who do watch the polls, the debates, are the most likely to vote in many of the early contests, to vote in many of the primaries, even if there isn't necessarily a competitive race. The reason why that's important is because these people very much do shape the very early start of the electorate, the very early start of the campaign season. They help build the momentum, and the most politically engaged often are those who are attending rallies, those who are donating, and together, debate performances absolutely can shape one's candidacy. Now, there is a major part of this debate that was missing because President Trump simply was not there. Every single candidate on the debate stage, except for Ron DeSantis, is polling at single digits nationwide and was polling at single digits in time for the debate, which meant we weren't working with the top tier candidates. It was a very low threshold that was made to be low by the RNC to allow for more people to get on the debate stage. But since then, there have been new requirements for the upcoming September debate, a 3% threshold instead of a 1% threshold that will likely narrow down the field. Now, we talked about my winners and losers for the Republican presidential debate. We had a general consensus, at least on my end, that Nikki Haley and Donald Trump came out victorious following the debate. It's very interesting because Donald Trump just wasn't there, but did come out ahead because of his ability to avoid criticism when it came down to this debate. Nikki Haley had a very good performance. Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy also made it onto the winners column, but everyone else I deemed to be a loser. Let's take a look at what the voters actually think about this and what we see on this 538 now, mapping of the numbers here. This is just a visualization of a poll that was done in the immediate aftermath, which shows at the very first question, right? Who won and lost the debate? Ron DeSantis actually came out ahead with the best performance, according to Republican primary voters. Now, I will preface this and say that people do not always answer this question, unbiased, right? People have their own preferences, and it's interesting that this does pretty much boil down to how we expected people to respond to this based off of national support. The reason I say that is because you look at people like Ron DeSantis and realize, well, he's the second place candidate nationwide. He probably should be the first place without Donald Trump on the ballot. Vivek Ramaswamy is the third place candidate nationwide, so he should move up one to second place in this poll. Nikki Haley, she's in fourth place. She should be third in this ranking. So what I'm trying to say here is that people do respond to these polls, even if they aren't necessarily telling the truth, and they may say their preferred candidate won the debate. It's a narrative that is helpful because when people answer these questions, candidates use them to say the majority of Republican voters thought I won the debate. It's a point to use in campaigning and ads and, reasoning as to why one would be the Republican nominee. So these instant responses when it comes down to who won and lost the debate aren't super perfect. But it's clear here that the Republican base very much liked DeSantis, Ramaswamy, Haley. And then you start getting down into the less than, 10% of people here who say that these candidates did the best, right? Mike Pence, less than 10% said that. Chris Christie, less than 5%. Tim Scott, less than 5%. Doug Burgum and Asa Hutchinson were both at roughly 1 to 2%. What's also interesting to look at is who people believed had the worst debate performance. Again, very similar to how people support candidates. Chris Christie, a very unpopular figure in the GOP for going after President Trump, he had the worst debate performance according to many. But the interesting thing here is that Nikki Haley has the best ratio of best to worst. People were seemingly very happy with Nikki Haley's debate performance, and barely anyone was unhappy. Less than 4%, less than 3% actually, of Republican primary voters believe Nikki Haley had the worst debate performance. That's compared to over 10% for Vivek Ramaswamy, over 20% for Chris Christie, over 10% for Mike Pence, nearly 10% for Ron DeSantis, over 10% for Asa Hutchinson. You start to see, we're building up to that 100% here, but Nikki Haley avoided much criticism. And that's because she had a very strong debate performance. I think if she was polling where Ron DeSantis is nationally at, 15% on the nationwide scale, that she would be doing very well when it comes down to this immediate aftermath poll. And there were polls taken in the immediate aftermath following the debate. One interesting one, Insider Advantage, that shows Nikki Haley now at 11%, the highest she has ever polled nationally, and Donald Trump dipping down to 45% and Ron DeSantis doing higher than before. It's interesting because we rarely ever see this happening where a post-debate bump happens so quickly, but it happened here. It absolutely did, and we will see how long it stands, and if it can crack this average, which has Donald Trump up by 41%, but Insider Advantage has Trump up by just 27%. And when you look at the past, you look at Insider Advantage's poll that was taken just a week prior, they had Donald Trump with a 41-point advantage. So that is a 14-point drop following the debate. That's possible. It's not a huge drop, right? Trump is still up, 27%, but it shows that given the right narrative, given the debates, Donald Trump is vulnerable, and this might actually change his future strategy moving forward in attending some of these debates. Just something to think about, which we will look at in our next point here. Who won and lost is a question that matters, but not as much as who gained and lost support. This is where you really start to see a huge impact and a huge bump for people like Nikki Haley and even Ron DeSantis. Before this debate was taken, you saw that this poll, Ipsos, did a question to those who were planning to watch the debate and asked them, who are you considering voting for? They listed all of the candidates, and people said, yes, I'm considering them. No, I'm not considering them. And that went down the list. Donald Trump started out with 66% of Republican primary voters saying, hey, we're considering him as a nominee. Ron DeSantis was in second place at 63%. Nikki Haley was at just 30%. Vivek Ramaswamy actually was higher than Nikki Haley at 41%. Tim Scott was at 41%, and then everyone else was 21% or less. Mike Pence was at 21%. Chris Christie was at 18%. Doug Burgum at 5%. Asa Hutchinson at 9%. And so you see here that following the debate, there was improvements for everyone except Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis actually now is being considered, according to this poll, by more Republicans than Donald Trump. The narrative that has been built up over the past couple of months, the correct narrative that Ron DeSantis was tanking, that he needed a good moment at the debate, I think he had a mediocre moment. But that was enough to shift over Ron DeSantis into the more considered column than Donald Trump. The reason being, people didn't see their prime candidate on the debate stage. They wanted to be reassured by many of these other Republicans that they represented their interests, right? People like Nikki Haley, who went from 30% consideration to nearly 50%, at 47% coming in third, from a distant fifth place. From a distant fifth to a third place is a very good place to be. And this reversal in direction for Donald Trump really shows that this lack of a debate, showing up, presence here, was not good for him, politically speaking. That is also a problem to consider as well. So when we see Ron DeSantis at 67.5%, we have to ask, does this mean he's on track to do well? The problem is that this consideration doesn't matter as long as the first preference vote is at 50% plus for Donald Trump. 67.5% of the Republican electorate could be considering Ron DeSantis, but it doesn't mean 67.5% is voting for him. Even Donald Trump has 61% of the GOP saying that they are considering him as a potential nominee. You only need, as Donald Trump showed, 40% in a crowded field, 30% honestly in this crowded of a field, but he can win and is winning with over 50% right now. But take away from this, Nikki Haley practically skyrocketed in terms of consideration of support. Vivek Ramaswamy did better. Tim Scott, marginal, right? Mike Pence, marginal. Chris Christie, marginal. Doug Burgum had a huge shift, but from 5 to 12%, it doesn't really matter that much. The main takeaway here, Trump reversed, Nikki Haley surged, and Ron DeSantis is now the most considered Republican candidate. And popularity also matters, right? We talk about this. Do people like Ron DeSantis? Do people like Donald Trump? And the problem was that Ron DeSantis, on a very, very localized level in New Hampshire, Iowa, South Carolina, Nevada, became less liked as he campaigned more. It was a very interesting relationship that the more presence he had, the less people liked him. But on that debate stage, it is clear in this aftermath polling that Ron DeSantis is now liked more. They did a question about whether people had a favorable or unfavorable view of candidates before and after the debate. And while the debate gave a lot of people, a face to the name, gave a lot of name recognition. For example, Doug Burgum went from 10% to 12% to 36 to 40, right? That's interesting because it shows such a significant uptick. But again, that was just getting his name out there. Same thing happened here with Asa Hutchinson, a huge bump for his name out there, right? Those are the people you have to take into consideration. Barely, though. The more heavy hitters are people like Chris Christie, people like Ron DeSantis, people like Nikki Haley. And you can see here there's a huge chunk of an improvement here for people like Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley went with 26% disliking her before to 52% liking her to 27% disliking her after the debate and 67% liking her. Ron DeSantis also had an improvement, a very interesting reversal from what everything else has done for him, where he was generally disliked. If he was more, of a presence there in the debate, 67.5% favorable before, 72% favorable after. In fact, his unfavorable actually went down, very unlike many other people. Another candidate, though, did have their unfavorable go down. Mike Pence was able to make his pitch to the mainstream GOP, and guess what? His unfavorability rating went from 57% down to 53.9. His favorability rating went from 38 to 42.6. So an improvement, nothing super drastic, but certainly a good or a better place to be for Mike Pence, not necessarily good. Vivek Ramaswamy gained a lot of support, also gained a lot of disappointment. He gained a lot of pushback. 12.9% had an unfavorable view, 32% following the debate, 50% favorable, 60% after. So it's interesting here. But the last point I would take away from this is Donald Trump's metric, where just 34% of GOP primary voters had an unfavorable view of the president, Donald Trump, before the debate versus 36% after. And his favorability went down from 65% down to 60%. These numbers matter because all these candidates are going to be joining forces, so it seems, because, while they are going after each other, there's a general understanding from the political consultant perspective, from their own campaign perspective, that you have to build up against Donald Trump. And with these new debate standards for September, we will see here that, what's going to be happening. How do you qualify? Well, in the first debate, you just needed 1% in 3 national polls or 1% in 2 national polls and 2 early state polls. Now, you need at least 3%, there goes Asa Hutchinson, there goes Doug Burgum, or 3% in 1 national poll and 2 polls conducted in early states. Then you need 50,000 unique donors instead of the 40,000 unique donors, and you need 200 donors from 20 different states. That is also similar to the first debate. So we see here that based off where we are right now, if these numbers were to hold true on average, Tim Scott would be eliminated, Chris Christie would be eliminated, Asa Hutchinson certainly would be eliminated, Doug Burgum certainly would be eliminated, and Larry Elder and Will Hurd wouldn't even make it on the group either. But it's interesting. Because there will be some national polls that show them at 3%, it seems to be the perfect spot for candidates like Chris Christie, candidates like Nikki Haley, candidates like Tim Scott. They will probably remain in the race. It will probably turn into a 6, potentially 7, should Donald Trump come into the debate, 7-person debate, where there will be a very interesting dynamic at play here because there's a very clear frontrunner, a very clear second-place candidate, and the rest that are trying to shift back and forth depending on their debate and campaign strategies. But Donald Trump, I think, is going to reevaluate, looking at some of these headlines about the debate, seeing the conservative praise that Ramaswamy has gotten, or the January 6th coverage, or the attacks on him, or the aggressive and messy first debate in terms of characterization. All of these headlines, I think, really attract a candidate like Donald Trump to come into this debate and dominate. And although he is doing very, very well in national polls, the Insider Advantage poll done immediately following the debate should be a warning sign. It's a warning sign because it shows that of those who pay attention, there are shifts in support away from him. Again, a week ago, Insider Advantage had him up 41 points, as does the average. Today, they have him up just 27%. It's still a lead, a very good one, a much bigger one than he ever had even in 2016. All that to say, though, that you cannot ignore the decline in polls. It's just a singular one for now. For now is the important part, because there absolutely will be more. Because looking at where we are, unless there is some type of complete, reversal from a debate bump, and that does happen. Debate bumps don't last forever. They're minimal. But if it's continuous, right, where Donald Trump is consistently skipping debates, that support will be chipped away at. In September, in October, in November, in December, and if Donald Trump holds out and never joins these debates, it will not be a good look for GOP primary voters. And you can see that there already is an impact in 2 separate polls done during the debate or done immediately after that show that there is a downside to skipping these debates, giving a lot of oxygen to many of the Republican candidates on this stage. And as a result, they are gaining more support and the former president is losing it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2024 Republican primary analysis videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.